luscious.
That's a lot of...
Oh, that's so much more than Steven's.
I'll get something.
Thank you.
Wow.
No, wait.
Guys, look what Dan specifically did.
Right here. I would only have
Michael, we have them.
in here?
Yeah.
Because Steven did this.
God,
I mean, maybe...
Remember when Steven
not
did it?
Steven did
Dan,
this.
did you twist it?
I twisted it, I bopped it, and I
What is
twisted
the
it.
twisting?
You see Better Call Saul?
No.
Supposedly, if you twist a can, the centrifugal force.
Oh,
For some reason,
I didn't do that.
I mean, like,
Is
swirl
that
it?
No, you like put it on
a porter or a...
like twist it.
That just she's shaking it more.
That's what I thought, but that's what they saw on the show. I don't know.
Yeah, it's
Let me
I can't believe everything you see on TV.
Did anything get saved?
We're gonna... Oh, yeah, I don't think I got
This is
anything
wet.
important.
Just a little bit.
We're gonna keep this as the start of the episode.
That was a
Great.
job.
And for our
Chaos.
ear jockeys listening on podcast, I spilled well, I didn't spill beer. A beer erupted like a volcano all over everything in front of me.
After he was warned that that was going to happen, so I
already
think
happened.
that you could argue that you spilled your beer.
You did open it and then immediately, like, go for the cheers.
Yeah. Lightning so rarely strikes the same place twice.
Yeah. Actually, did you know
Yes, Joey, please do this. Be that guy.
What do you
it.
say?
the probability? So if lightning strikes, the highest probability of when lightning will strike that same spot is immediately after.
So it's very likely it will strike the same place twice.
No, it's just that it's more likely than if it waits a long time and then it strikes it again.
Well, I
Because the
would
storm cell is still directly above it.
Because
Stop the
it's
break-in.
unlikely that it's.
No, he wanted to keep this. He wanted
Where'd
to
you
keep
go?
this.
Pilgrim's back from the bathroom.
And
I would also imagine, though, that the longer time goes on, the higher chances of lightning striking that place again, because eventually it
No. No. That's not it. This is what I learned in
this
physics.
is
But what about those people you hear about that can keep getting struck by lightning?
Those people are called dumb.
They wear metal and go out to the beach during storms.
thinking of stupid Melissa.
That's not a probability.
Welcome to the episode.
All right, 40.
We're doing it again. Hey, still
careful, careful.
Oh my gosh, I don't want to touch this.
Careful,
Whisper.
Don't touch it.
Whoops.
Don't touch his beer. I need to roll my dice this episode. I didn't last
1,
episode.
2, 3.
Oh, that's so much worse than three people.
We already started the episode.
Yeah.
We just destroyed everyone listening to this on the podcast.
Shout out Australia.
The clap for Australia.
Hey.
The clapboard around the world.
Yeah, in Australia. Shout out Australia.
I think we just set the record for the longest start to actual episode start time. We're
The
keeping.
coldest of intros.
Episode 48, which is a really big deal. And next time we meet,
48.
we're going to record episode 49 and 50.
That's how many hours you gotta wait before you report them missing.
That's true, and it's wrong because most likely the first 48 hours are actually the most
But
important.
what were you saying, Dan?
Lightning strikes twice so often.
That's wrong.
Right, episode 48 right now.
You have to wait 48 hours, but it's the most important time period. Sorry.
To do the recap for last episode, we started off right when the dealer had crept into the camp of the half-dozen and initiated what started as pretty light and casual
Poker game.
veiled threat to say, you will leave here in the morning. And the more time that he spent in the camp and the more magic that illuminated the people around, there was just more and more depth of what was going on with his intentions of being in the camp and getting all to move on. The biggest tension felt between Loreleth and the dealer as he and his party, the Odd Company, are taking home in the home of Loreleth and pretty much saying that she's not welcome there and it is theirs. Tensions got really tight when Thule recognized Torrent in the group, and Misery just has an itchy finger on his crossbow often. Do you have a crossbow? I feel like you have some type of bow.
I have a bow of some sort, yeah.
And with people waking up and just being quick to be defensive, eventually the group did... Yeah. The group did make their way out, leaving the party at their campsite for the rest of the night. They talked through some things that Pilgrim had heard on the magical telescope. The
NSA.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Naughty surveillance apparatus.
Naughty.
Let's not do this again. And discovered that Pilgrim had overheard some of the conversation between one of the members of the Odd Company, perhaps the Bull, perhaps Steel, maybe even Cyclone. But when the dealer and this person were talking, they were going through some books. It was now understood to be the library of the Elvish community that Lorelith grew up in. They were reading about some of the dragons and the gods. After they left, Lorelith talked with the party about some interest to perhaps go back, and after their trip through Dustforge, head back into her hometown and see what they can accomplish. However, it is the next morning, and Treya is waking up with the guards and getting the cart already. They're taking down their tent, rolling things back up. Treya, not participating in the work, but overseeing it with her two guards doing everything. She's going through the cart and opening up some of the chests and stuff that are stored within, and you can just hear her kind of muttering out loud to the guards, but also y'all can overhear it. Those ruffians and wilderness people did not come into this cart and take anything. We are still good to go. Are you all ready yet? And she peeks her head out of this back of the cart, kind of smiling, but her tone is very direct.
Stella makes sure that the fire is snuffed out and walks over to the cart.
I wordlessly climb up on top again of it.
Again.
Yeah.
I wordfully climb into it, going, oh, blah, blah, I'm tired, blah, like that.
You rest as well, I see.
Tuli gets in the cart too.
I'm gonna follow behind with Strogoth.
And what does Gwendolyn do? Right. Cassandra had a invasive dentist appointment today, so she's no longer with us.
The way that you said that made it sound like she left to go to a dentist appointment, and I was like,
Yeah, why not?
because it's nighttime.
Cassandra has a 9 p.m. dentist appointment, and she left.
The dentist actually came here. She's upstairs right now.
Yeah, that's great.
You might hear
You slept well last night.
Let's try it talking to Misery.
Why is she so mean to me? Yeah, someone made the log next to me burst into the sunshine, so it didn't really work with my sleeping.
That was the
Sorry.
It was really painful, wasn't it?
It was.
Yes.
Did you see it?
I peeked my head out of the tent just in the moment that it lit up, and I tell you what, my eyes still have not corrected.
I tell you what.
Yeah, it was tough.
Yeah. Well, thank you for last night.
You're welcome. I did so much.
I'm still alive, and that is what you're being paid for.
You are protected. Don't you ever worry about us.
I was not worried about you all in this life.
I'm worried about us protecting you, because we always will.
I believe it.
Yep.
Great. Sims, are we about ready?
Let's freaking get out of here.
Let's freaking go.
Gwendolyn will hop in the cart and ride along with. So, we have about another day's journey through. So, if you are outside of the cart and patrolling around, if you were doing anything other than keeping watch, let me know, but you can roll a perception check. And you can roll a die.
Yay! Oh, and it's a good roll.
Nat 20.
Yeah, baby.
Nat 5.
16 plus
You see, I got the
6 is
first one.
22.
I can see how each of us will
21.
21, great.
21.
Okay, so the three of you outside of the cart, as you all are walking along the side or sitting on top, there's a moment where you all do make eye contact with each other because you can see off into the distance the Odd Company was 60, 80 feet outside of your camp, kind of spread out and just standing by, watching, and as the cart is loaded up.
In the daylight?
In the daylight of the morning.
Okay.
Where is that?
How is the dealer reacting to the sunlight?
You're not outside of the cart.
How's the dealer?
Talking about how
Got him.
Roll another perception check.
Another nat 20. Let's see.
All this?
Wait, you see?
Oh
my gosh, I just rolled. That's my first one. Oh, give it.
No!
What?
You want my dice? I rolled 20.
Were you also
So 6 is
wanting
12.
to be like specifically honing in on this?
Nah.
Okay.
Why'd you say
Good. No.
Because honestly, I wasn't.
Yeah, you were.
You got 12.
Okay. Yeah, you didn't seem to be phased
than
or
average.
bothered by it at all. Did you also have been?
Do my natural 20 eyes make him seem bothered?
Oh, you did roll a natural 20 in the initial perception check, so yeah, I'd be willing to honor that. He seems fine. He is openly standing in the sunlight right now.
With his
He has
robe
no
on.
hood up or anything. His sunlight is on his bald head, and
He's bald?
Yeah.
Oh, you told us that, and he has a beard.
the white beard. Yeah.
He is too.
And he's just leaning up against a tree. He's got, what you do notice as well, he's got like a very faint light blue crystal that's about the size of his fist within his hand, and he's just kind of twirling it, and the little tip of it sits on his finger, and he's just spinning and sitting there and waiting. There's little bits of like flashes of light and cold around it.
Do I see that?
With a 12? No. This is his natural 20 that gets to see that.
Not with your puny
He
12.
has a cool blue crystal that only I see.
Can you tell me about it?
Is it entering homes without invitation?
Oh my god.
Is he looking in the mirror?
Hey, does anyone
far did you say that?
see anything cool? Is anyone noticing
Just say
anything?
no.
Are you inside the car?
Seems like a leading
outside.
question.
No.
What?
I'm keeping my eye on. Hey, Pilgrim, you're up top. You can see more, probably.
Are they
See anything?
Standing,
wanna ask
watching, or are they at camp?
They're standing and watching.
I'm gonna kind of play like when I see them that my eyes kind of like pass over them, and then when Laura lets it out, I'll be like, no, nothing, and then I'm gonna mind link and be like, the old company is watching us.
Can I look again?
No.
Do you see anything interesting?
I describe what I do see, including the cool blue crystal.
Do I recognize it? Does it sound
Oh, does
familiar
the
to
crystal
you?
seem like it's like from your family?
Yeah. Or at least from my tribe.
No. Yeah, I don't think it sparks any memory or anything.
Okay. That was a waste of pushing forward then.
I mean, you've rolled something out.
That's true.
Yeah, I mean, I like talking to my friend, but
No, waste.
Hey, do you like birds?
don't do it again. Yes. Okay.
Ellen just looks at him and nods.
Do you like undulating crows?
Unnecessary thing.
Only about 8 hours left. Hopefully we don't run into any of those ground beasts again. Try out to a couple of the people inside the car.
That was a well said, Trey.
Those ground beasts really grounded us. With
They're called the Odd Company.
What? Who are you?
Oh.
8 hours, huh?
8 hours. So we're gonna sit here for 8 hours.
We can do it.
Wow, that's what the driving
takes
forward
pictures.
does.
Steven, could you edit in just the sounds of cartwheels as we are moving through? Great. Gymnastics would be great.
I can do an acrobatics check.
So as we continue for a couple of hours, for those of you outside, if y'all would roll perception checks for your just watch and seeing if there's anything ahead.
We say that Thule and Misery play I Spy with my little eye, but she keeps doing the color of Misery skin over and over.
Oh my god.
20, but not now.
Something
25.
like
Is that 19?
I 15.
Great. Throughout the next 4 hours of the cart journey, you can see and hear Singed and Turk talk with each other about directions and what certain landmarks to make different turns at, and they've got a map that's ready to go. And as they're using that to navigate through the woods, a couple of times they start to doubt themselves a bit, but then within the next 10 to 15 minutes, they then spot off some form of sign or rock structure or something that anytime that they feel like they're doubting it on the right path, very soon they're like, oh no, we're doing well. And you can tell that they're unfamiliar with this journey, that this is not something that they've done before, but everything is going according to plan, and there's no more interruptions, there's no digging throughout the earth that wrecks the cart or anything. Good.
I rolled a 20.
Are you from within the cart? Were you?
Oh, I thought you meant all of us over like the 8 hours, because I'm assuming we like get out and stuff. But
Oh yeah, if you're interacting and doing more, but same thing. It's mostly being led by the 2 guards. They're doing a great job keeping everything on track. And about this time, let me where I put it. At this point, with Gwendolyn and Misery and Thule, before you end up getting out of the cart, Treya just stops and goes, "Oh yes, I was interrupted yesterday before finishing, well, Dustforge, where we're heading. We will be staying with Lilith West Cove. Am I repeating myself? Do you remember this?
Lilith West Cove, of course I remember.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I don't
For
know.
Thule's sake, she doesn't.
yeah, I don't remember any of that.
Well, at risk of repeating myself, I suppose it would be good. We'll be staying with Lilith West Cove for the sake of bartering a trade agreement between Populace and her family, and, well, hopefully the greater Dustforge as well. Their government is different than ours, and there are some old families and lineages that coexist at equal power and govern the direction at which Dustforge goes. And so there's the West Cove family, the South Cove family, and the East Cove family.
Wait. Let me
No
guess.
north?
The North Cove family?
Nope.
No, he only said 3 families.
Oh, whoops.
Well,
That would be an island then, wouldn't it?
the North Cove family has been detained of, or well, no longer exist at least. I believe that they have lost some form of war or battle within the families.
Spicy.
And so, no, there is no North Cove family.
When you play the game of coves. You win. Die.
I'm curious to ask Lilith about that at some point, but I don't know how touchy that is in their history. Very curious about that myself.
Ask me?
But what?
Sorry. No.
Lilith.
Lilith.
Not
No, I didn't.
Laura.
Just checking.
Restart the episode right now.
1, 2,
Lilith.
3.
Like the dark star.
So, some of the major pillars of the government are those 3 families, and we've also heard of a couple others. There's the, well, it's not a family, but it's a representative party, at least, one called the Cloth and the other called the Chain. And so those all together dictate and make decisions for Dustforge. And we're hoping that in this journey we can grow close with and create a partnership with one of the leading families so that, well, we can offer some Fedopods and maybe some Fedo trade, some money, and some of the Viola seeds that we have to see what on earth we could develop as some form of partnership. That is the hope. That is the intention, and we will see how it goes. Y'all will be taken care of to stay in the West Cove. I believe it is some form of castle, to be clear. Yeah, and I've been assured that we all will have a place to stay while we are there. I will, of course, provide anything beyond when it comes to food, but I think that Lilith will be taking care of us completely. Any questions so far?
So Lilith West Cove. Got it. No question.
That's a great edit, Misery. And then she says, so what's like the layout of the city? Do the different families control the different like things in the city? Like one controls the library, one controls like the pub district, things
Is
like
it a
that.
grid, like all the street names, numbers, and then
Yeah.
trees?
How easily can we navigate?
I've never been there, and honestly, I'm kind of nervous about navigating the city too. I'm hoping when we get to the gate, I hope that there's a gate.
See?
Seems like we should have known this before we started driving in the direction.
Communications between Populace and Dustforge have been, it's a very new new relationship. In fact, the fact that Dustforge is even responding to communication seems to be rather odd and new as well. So we are hopeful that this is some new philosophy of leadership where they're hoping to connect and be more open. But from what some of our citizens and travelers have been able to describe, it seems as if the city exists within one massive cave. That Dustforge exists in this dome-like structure that is kind of on the surface, not within the tunnels, but that's the best information we were able to get from that.
Well, does anybody have a map? Anybody maybe happen to know how the hell to do this? I don't know if you can tell, but this is me just pretending to know. So where's the map? I need a clue. Because the scary truth is, it doesn't work anymore.
What is this?
It's just a song.
Making it up.
But really, do you have a map?
I'm hoping that part of our exchange will be to create the first map of Dustforge that Populous has to understand it a bit better, and to even understand how this odd system of families co-reigning together really works.
Tuli says, so she kind of like leans over and goes like, so let me get this straight, Treya. You don't know anything about how the streets are numbered. You don't know the grids.
What number are the streets?
You know some coves. But what you do know is that Lilith West Cove is our contact, and there are definitely orphanages in Dustforge.
So she
That's
must be
all
part
you
of
know.
the...
I don't know what fixation you have with dead parents, but
Trey, it's not my fixation. I just want to make sure that you achieve all of your goals, and one of them is clearly visiting an orphanage with myself in misery. Yes.
To learn, yes.
Right. To experience.
To experience, yes. We need Freya to learn a lot. And experience.
Yes. So that's just an interesting fact to know.
I do have a lot
more than
the orphan experience.
Yes, one ticket for the orphan experience.
Oh my gosh. This is too much. We're trying to adopt.
I'm sorry.
Doesn't feel right.
Sorry, okay. So yes. I'm just yanking your chain for you.
yes. My intentions are to take Misery to see an orphanage while we were there, and I think that we can accomplish that and learn something. Maybe. And yes, I do not know much about the families or the city, but this is with the intentions of that learning too, and building this relationship for the first time. So I would like it if you all stuck with me in the West Cove Castle, at least for the first night or two, until I can really sort out how comfortable the situations would be. And then perhaps you all could be free to do your own exploration of whatever libraries or pub districts you want to visit.
Are you saying pup district?
Pub district.
There's just dogs all over the place.
I was really excited. That sure class would really fit in.
Pub?
Pub. I heard pup.
Tuli says if they have them.
Fedo?
Oh, Tuli also says, also, would love to offer my services as Fedo.
Barista?
As a Fedo drinker.
If you need someone to like sample things or like.
She used to work at... Dang it! Smash Pot. I almost said cool beans! She used to work at Smash Pot.
I was almost really impressed.
I was there for 3, almost 4 months.
Yeah. 3, almost
The
4
worst
months.
coffee in Columbia, South Carolina.
I think that actually would be very useful as a demonstration to Lilith of what Fedo is used for and if they would be interested in having it in the city. So.
Yes!
You like a Fedo
Hits her elbow.
Somalia?
sommelier?
Fedo Somalia. Somalia.
Yeah.
cuppings.
Well, great.
The undertones on this one is fantasy chocolate and florals.
Notes of feta cheese.
Oh, yes.
Chocolate is real.
Yeah.
Fantasy chocolate.
Fantasy chocolate.
Great. Well, then I'm sure at any point you can update the rest of your crew. Those who are, I'm sure, keeping us safe and fighting off many awful creatures to keep this cart moving as silent as it is right now.
Just Captain Pilgrim like serenely smiling on top of it.
A hawk flies away with Pilgrim. Great. The next 4 hours pass through pretty safely as well.
Yay.
And so, if you all would spend the whole 8 hours walking, like that is quite a bit, but at any rate,
I'm just sitting on the
you're sitting on the top, right? Any other preparations or conversations or stuff before actually
I
entering
don't know if
Dustforge?
I've ever gotten a straight answer about this.
Mhm.
Is Sturkov big enough that I could ride him?
No.
Okay,
Yeah.
there's the straight answer.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Would it be weird if I hopped on one of the horses?
Yes, they're like, they have reins attached to them.
But you can sit on it.
Why do you guys not want to be in the cool little carrot scene?
Feels weird.
Fresh air, man.
I think one of the guards would stop you and like, oh, they're busy.
Okay, I don't hop on one of those.
So no, like,
No combos out there.
right.
At least not with me.
Okay. So, continuing to head east, and getting to the point where some of the trees start to thin out, and we're heading towards sunset now, too. This has been a full day's pilgrim.
Sorry, while I was clocking the odd company, is there like a moment when they like stop following us?
Oh, they didn't really follow.
They were
Oh,
sitting.
Yeah.
Just making sure.
8 hours.
We haven't seen them in 6 hours.
Okay.
Yeah. 8 hours, really. It was just right at the camp. Like, they were just watching to make sure y'all left in the morning.
Cool.
8 hours later, it is now sunset, and the trees are starting to thin out towards the east. Y'all can see the shadows of the cart, and those that were walking outside are getting to their longest that they have been as the sun is setting back behind you. But with some of the last moments of daylight that are left through the tops of these trees on y'all's march in this direction, you can see over the last hour or so a collection of black mountains that have slowly grown taller and taller as you get closer and closer. And with that, too, Treya from the inside there's a little bit of a window where she's been talking through to the Golden Sentinels to the front to sees them at one point and says, "Oh yes, the Suthran spires. We must be getting pretty close. So prepare yourselves, get ready, and oh please, just let me do the talking once we get to the gate, and we will get through as quickly as possible. Right?
Right.
Gate.
Good.
You didn't say right.
Gate.
As I see it, us like getting closer, I'm gonna hop off the wagon and start to kind of walk beside it.
Okay.
I give you a piggyback ride.
I don't do that.
Gwendolyn and Thelen, at the mention of the Suthran spires, you both know that the Suthran spires go for a very long north to south trajectory on this far eastern side of the world, and at the very southern tip of them is where Iskrid is, which is where you and Gwendolyn are both from.
Is that where I saw the crag cats too?
No. You saw them kind of just straight east in this way,
Okay.
and you took like a couple days journey out to do that too. So it was actually kind of near these mountains, probably a bit more north than where you're at now.
Okay.
But same region, or maybe it was towards this, or maybe it was more south. But yeah, generally in this region, yes. And so the mention of the Suthran spires is kind of like a twinge of like home feeling, but you also know that they extend for days and days of journeys north and south. At that, getting closer and through, eventually the torchlight of the city gets to illuminate, and the sun begins to completely set. So the torchlight is the only source of light that you all get before even getting to a gate. The torchlight is green, and so it is likely to be magically produced in some way, but it's very eerie tone as you all are moving now towards it. And you can see the large actual stone gate that you all are approaching, and Treya is a bit relieved to see that the city's protected. But behind the stone gate, which is maybe 12 feet tall, you can see this massive expanse of the singular cave that you would have to assume Dustforge is held within. And so the top peak of this dome cut into the side of this black stone mountain is 150 feet tall, and then extends back where you can just see the reflection of this green torchlight all the way into the depth behind, where you can't really get a good measure or sense of what's there before the gate then comes up above and it's all cut out of view. Treya steps out, and before she speaks up, one of the two guards up front just announces, "This is Treya Lalarian, responsible here in representation of Populace. We're here to meet one of the West Cove family members, and what you can see on the front of this giant metalled portcullis is 4 armored guards, all of them Dwarven in height and stature and build. However, you can also see that their skin tone is reminiscent of a couple of the dwarves that you had seen in the Odd Company, that they are very gray in skin, kind of an ashy, darker color, and then their eyes also have this reddish reflection and glow in them too. And one of them just walks forward, puts his hand on the reins of the horses, and just looks up at the guard, Sinch, who's at the front of the cart. "And what is your purpose here coming to Dustforge with his family?" And Sinch continues and just says, "We're exchanging in letters to barter some form of trade agreement between Populace and that particular family. And in fact, we could actually use some help finding the place should we gain entry." And this guard just stops and looks back over it. "Trade, what are you bringing in?" And then Treya, who was walking alongside, "We bring Fedopods, if you've heard of," and the guard is just staring blankly at her, and some tree seeds that are pretty unique to the western part of the world. Guard is just blankly staring over. "And money and gold. We also bring gold," and he's still just kind of blankly staring forward. "Okay, well, first," and then he pulls out a ledger from the side. "I see that you're with a large party of people. We would need names of all that are entering the city, so we may welcome you in, and then we would get that sent ahead to Lilith as well." And nobody had said Lilith yet until this guard did, but he knew who she was talking about. So, Treya then walks through name by name. Says we have somebody named Thelen, Pilgrim, Lorlith, Tuli, Gwynlyn, Misery. I think I said everybody right. Mm-hmm. And then she also mentions Sinch and Turk and Trey.
Don't forget Strogoth.
She does not say Strogoth.
Dog.
He is not
dog.
He is part of the family.
It's dog.
And he says, "Just a moment, please. Return to your cart, and we'll prepare for a moment." And Treya looks really proud of herself and comes back around. And
Good job, Treya.
The guard sits down with a quill and some paper, writes some things down. Takes a matter of 10 minutes or so. Makes a couple copies of what he is writing. Folds some stuff up. Takes a ring, melts some wax, seals some things. Pulls over one of an additional guard and then talks to him for a moment. And that guard walks into the city. In that time, where y'all are waiting and sitting in the cart, this cave is a lot larger than I thought it was going to be. This is a pretty big city. The gate looks pretty large too. I don't know. How are y'all feeling?
I'd love to have a map.
Would you make one for me?
I'm not really a map person. Mapographer. I think it's mapographer.
Who asked how are you feeling?
Trey.
Oh, I didn't know those things.
And my initial looking around the cave and the lighting and all the different stuff. Is this ringing any bells from my own cave?
Yeah.
How we utilize Huskstone? Does it seem like similar systems, or is it totally different?
Yeah. Immediate difference, as you notice, is that it's one large open cave rather than yours, which was a series of tunnels and it was underground mostly. And so that feels different, but the green torchlight is reminiscent of the purple torchlight that your people would have used, and like that Kalashar would use some form of magic, and this color being important to them, and the torches just feel like there's some similarity there, even though it's a different color.
Yeah, I'm just kind of quietly taking in everything. I don't say anything. So I'm just kind of looking around.
Anyone else?
Just on alert.
Alert.
Well, I guess your job is to just protect me and not have a great conversation.
It's terrible to talk to. Say that under my breath.
Package. That costs extra.
Since we're about ready, it's weird. He hasn't come back yet. Okay.
We just sit in silence.
So what's your favorite?
How big
The
is
horses kick off. It's so obvious.
Oh my god.
So what's your deal?
The cart enters the city.
Have you lived with Mills?
Where is this? Okay, one second. I'll pull up my notes for this too. Once you move in through, how did beer get in my computer?
Oh no.
Oh no! Don't look at his nose! Don't look at
I'm
his nose!
looking at the beer.
This definitely isn't my work computer. It's our person who's here at the table.
Are you placing my ear?
No,
Nah, it's good.
it's
Okay.
ridiculous. That's crazy. Why would I do that?
Okay. So this guard who walked up to the front of the horses and is talking to Sinj and Turk before the cart does move forward. All right. You've been approved. You'll be entering the city, and my name is Arbiter Shen, and I will be escorting you through the city, and giving you a bit of an, I guess, orientation or introduction or whatever. We will get you there soon, and I can be back on my way. And Trey says, "Thank you so much, appreciate it." And then she ruffles through her bag, pulls out a handful of coins, and he just looks up at her. Extra coins. Oh my gosh.
Andrea.
Okay.
Taking all the L's.
Is Arbiter a title or is that his first name?
You're not sure. That's what he said.
Okay.
And he's a dwarf.
I mean, it's a title, but you can be done with it. I don't know.
He was a dwarf too.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah.
What's it mean then?
I don't know.
Wow, then you can be dumb too, I guess, huh?
And at some point, when the car takes off, and Arbiter Shen, which is his title,
It is his
it
title?
is his title.
Shen is the title. There's your clap.
Gosh. The car doesn't move like 10 or 15 feet before Shen just speaks up and goes, "If your cart's gonna move this fast, can I hop up there with you?"
No, but
And so they stop the cart and he hops up front. And so then the cart's
what kind of person is he?
He's a dwarf.
What kind of...
He's got widow wigs.
He's nice. He loves long walks in the field.
And then he starts to talk through. Treya stands up, moves towards this front window, and kind of peeks her head out. And then the three of them, the two guards and Treya, have a conversation with Shen as they're walking through the city. And he just begins. So, Dustforge, has been here for the origin of the Durgar and the Drow and those that live in this region still. And you will see that, and then as they move past some buildings, there are this broken chain symbol on a lot of signs do represent the kind of affiliation with the chain. Is a religious belief. And I will warn you to at least, depending on your beliefs, or I guess how abrasive you are in your conversation, those of the chain do openly worship Drenton, and then as a couple buildings go down, you will see, and then he hands over to a symbol that's on some of these signs here. Some houses and businesses mark themselves as part of the Church of the Cloth and Temple, the Church of Inidia, and so they live in as much harmony as you can here together on the surface, which has been a recent development within the history of Dustforge that we have all brought our homes up here to, broker a sense of community and peace, that we all can function together openly with each other and the world. This has been going on for about 1 generation. And then the kind of tour continues up through the city. At one point, he points his hand over. You can see there that large spire that reaches up above those buildings to the side. That is the Chambers of the Chain, where someone by the name of Daragirth leads the clan, the chain, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say clan, leads the chain organization. And you can tell that he himself is just like, has talked through this enough where he's kind of bored with it, but also you can read his tone. It's just generally really uninterested in all of the information he's saying too. And then another 10 minutes or so through the city, and you get a sense of how large this massive cave is for all of these different sects and buildings, and the depth of all of this to be going through. At this point, maybe 15 minutes into the depth of this cave, all of the light is now green torchlight that is on the buildings and throughout this alleyway that you are taking. The sun is completely set, and, well, Thule, this feels like a natural, almost home-like feel to you. Torchlight is like mostly the only light you've ever known. And being out into the daylight in the world and all of that just kind of felt off and different. You got used to it and it was fine, but this immediately shifts once the sun sets and everything, that this feels like it's underground and in a cave system, even though it's not. And Pilgrim, I'll say the same for you too, that this feels reminiscent of your home within the caves too. Yep.
So are you guys, like, you are descendants of the Durgar and the Drow?
I proudly am Durgar.
Oh, great.
Cool. I love
Does Thule know about I don't know what the Drow are like in this world.
Mm-hmm.
Does Thule know about the Durgar and the Drow?
Sure. Yes, absolutely you do. They were common in Apori, and for anything that's what it's worth for like what your home plane was like and the dynamics that all played out through that, they were massively a participant in that system of what it meant to be competing for power, as well as the camaraderie around the sense too of like what it meant to be a citizen of Apori. The fact that they exist here too is weird, but normal too. It's like this off sense that's like, well, you're here, and the fact that here's a city that feels like home even, and that it exists in this world. If they were to exist here, this is where it would be. So it's like interesting and almost like a bit of a homecoming to you that this is what it's like, but also a bit surprising that this community exists in Candace.
Is there like a sign or like a symbol that Thule could do that would show she's from Apori to see if they recognize it at all? Like, I will make one up. What I'm asking you is, are you okay if I make something?
Go ahead.
Okay, so this is like, I'm gonna say what Thule's like people do, the fire genasi.
Yeah.
The thing that she does all the time.
Yeah.
But then she does this symbol, and then she goes like, I don't know, like this. And then like, and when she comes up from the bow, she does this, and it's the symbol of people from the plane of Apori, like the ones that have made it out know that it's risky to broadcast that you're from Apori, because people think that if they have religious beliefs, they discriminate against you for whatever reason. And so there's like a secret symbol that they do. And so she does this symbol kind of like casually just to the Durgar and to see if he reacts at all.
Sure, yeah. I'll say he just recognizes, subtly nods over, and gives a quick glance around to the people around, but he just knowingly gives them the back.
And then Julie returns to the sign of her clan and then goes back.
Okay.
So does that move over to asking if he was a Durgar? Okay.
For sure. One of the things that you all do notice too is several of the buildings buildings, more in the residential areas that y'all have passed through. There have been openly, and this is a little graphic, but it's fine, some like dead goats or sheep or deer that on the like kind of front porch area.
Fantasy deer.
Fantasy deer, goats, and sheep.
God.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, man.
The goats and sheep are fine.
But they were coated
Fantasy
in, they were coated in chocolate.
Fantasy chocolate.
And so on like a permanently instituted like meat hook that is on the front porch of a lot of these houses, there have been skinned and just like kind of prepared goats and sheep and stuff raw put up on these hooks, and then underneath are massive bowls too, unspoken about. He doesn't describe them at all or give any purpose for them, but that is just a common practice that you have seen. Not every house do, but enough to realize that this is a pattern here, and it kind of just sticks out.
The bowls are collecting blood.
Mm-hmm.
Does it look like it's being done in a way that's like preparing the meat for eating?
Or are they rotting?
Make a survival check.
Whoa. Nat 20. 100.
Oh, let's go.
Yeah, absolutely not.
Cool.
So there's no preservative, there's no fire to dry it out. No part of this is meant for it to be prepared for normal human consumption. And so, of course, that's a very loaded statement. But you can see with the bowls collecting all of the drippings and blood, and just the way that there's nothing set up around it to do any type of preservation or stop the meat from spoiling or anything, that to you this looks like a waste of natural meat because it's not going to be used in the way that you could eat it.
Have I seen something like this before?
Mm-hmm. You've never seen it.
No one did this, even the crazy religious people from my tribe? Okay.
Yeah.
Are the bowls full, overflowing, or...
Well, go midway filling.
Okay.
Yeah.
I definitely think...
Perhaps full.
Sorry.
I definitely think Dylan would obviously notice this with his connection to animals.
Yeah.
Is this guy walking outside, or...
He's sitting between the two guards in the front so that he doesn't
Okay.
walk in. But Treya is kind of leaning on the window, part of the conversation up there. You all are inside of the cart, like, and can hear.
I feel like Dylan would probably look at him and say, like, what's that about? Because I think Dylan would recognize that it wasn't for
Right.
the use of the entire animal for consumption and understanding its place on the planet,
Yeah.
but that it's almost wasteful.
Yeah.
Yes.
So those that can afford it, or wish to kind of aid those who can't in our society, there's a people here. They're called the Damn Fear. They are you can see he's just like really trying to tiptoe on this. He just stops for a second. Actually, let's just, you two stop the cart there for a moment, and the guards look at Treya, and she kind of gravely nods, and then Shen gets down, walks around, gets into the cart from back. Treya, if you can, do you mind if I shut this door as well? And like, I feel safe with them all back here. Is this okay? She looks towards you all. Okay, and he shuts the door back. And then he gets a lot more comfortable with that shot and just being with the group. It gets immediately pitch black in here. I imagine you kind of do a little bit of a light, which...
There's
Just like,
fire-
no, not
there's
this
like a
time.
fireplace in the cart, remember? Because I was making like a flying dragon, so I like that.
Great, cool. So, Dustforge has another presence within the city that has existed kind of in line with a lot of the major families for a long time. They, plainly speaking, are creations of Orban and are a mutation of, Drow or Durgar or really any race imaginable that are vampires.
Is he waiting for us to be shocked? We're like,
Ooh,
oh no!
I had no idea they would be here.
How do you all actually react when he says this stuff?
act like this. What?
Well, no. I was kind of thinking like Pilgrim has been quiet the whole time, but like
He's still on the roof.
no, I didn't get back in the car. Yeah, I'm in the car with him. I think I actually would have like stolen the word vampires before you even finished the sentence. Like just kind of like filled it in for you to kind of like imply like we're fully like we're aware.
Right.
But like say it like not in like a I don't know, just kind of like saying
Derogatory way.
like
Yes.
vampires.
Yeah.
You know.
Pressure's news to me.
No, because we talked about this. We
talked about this?
But it's still news to misery. Those are tree houses. Vampires.
Vampires are cool though.
Yes, precisely. And they, well, there's even a split within their community, whether it's beliefs or means or however this gets decided. But I mean, they live among us here in complete harmony, and it is fine and good. However, and this is why any gestures kind of out towards the city. These donations is good. These donations are made out into the streets because, well, when they don't get to feed, or if they choose not to, they can get rather feral and violent and aggressive. And some of them choose to be that way because they can't give it up. Others end up damn fear and feral because they can't afford to find any good meat or blood. So in order to preserve the peace and comfort within the city, people who can afford it put out things like this so that anyone who finds himself out on the street in need can take what they need and not harm anyone. It is actually, to me, an encouraging sign when I see it that we are all living here together and taking care of one another, knowing how harsh those nights can be. But again, this is not citywide. This is not everyone is vampire or Denfear. But for those that are, we want to make sure that they're taken care of and okay.
Tuli says, is there a way to, know if someone is a vampire just at first glance? We just don't want to risk offending anyone.
What are you, a vampire or something?
If you were to see somebody with black veins extending out from their eyes up across their face, you would know that person probably has not been able to satiate themselves. I think that is the only tell I've been able to pick up. However, a well-fed and a well-fed and satiated vampire would just appear just like anyone else. However, no. They can, but not all the time. A major sign, especially if they mean to do you harm, is the fact that they would not be able to enter your home without your permission to do so. And so anyone who seems to be rather aggressive on that front, I would say, probably ill intent behind their heart.
Do they glisten in the sunlight?
Do you have a library?
Do they often call people spider monkey?
Arbiter. Does the name
Please, call me Mr. Arbitrary.
Conviction. Arbiter is my father.
does the name Guiding Light mean anything to you?
Ooh, the Muse song.
Dan is trying to remember what that is referring to right now. What is that referring to?
Guiding Light would be a
call, right?
warrior clad in dust glass that fought vampires in the tunnels of Dustforge.
Dust glass.
Yes.
I
Thank
learned
you.
about him in the archives.
I forgot about that.
Him or her.
W-I-B-O. That's right.
Don't know.
Stay woke.
And yes, Shen would recognize that and say, yes, a beacon of light, but also a warning. Is this stories and lore around this entity, this person, is very distant and fairy tale-ish. However, those that are giving into this feral, damphiric desire to still live out in this violent way, well, this presence, this guiding light, serves as a warning and a reminder that we simply will not tolerate that decision and that behavior. We're willing to work with somebody to get off of that track. However, yes, the story does live and remain in Dustforge.
The archives at Populous speak of guiding light working alongside a dragonborn name of Cole or Koal. It is a fantasy world.
Hey.
Cool.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Yes, Cole is one of the most prominent don't know how to really put this, kind of maybe believer is a good word, or student, almost one who has taken up some form of like oath or life devotion to be everything that the Guiding Light also stood for. And so this Dragonborn sets the example for any and all within the city who would also kind of take up that role to both punish the Damphir as well as protect the city as an entirety. Cole, too, yes, is part of this less fairy tale-ish story, but more as this representative of what actually happens when one lifts a sword to defend the city.
I'd be very interested to meet this Cole. I don't know if you're the one to arrange this or not, but I'll be...
I don't know if Cole is
He did.
actually real, to be honest. I mean, more likely to be real than the Guiding Light ever was, but those that would exist in some form of sect of the Guiding Light, either is so secretive that nobody knows who they are, where they are, or never really existed in the first place, I guess. However, as soon as I meet any of them, I will arrange your meeting.
Much appreciated.
Is there a school or like a dojo where people try and practice the way of guiding light? I know you don't know if Cole is real, but
Any association with that group is either entirely under wraps or does not exist.
Dojo.
The only places of study that I could suggest while we pass them would be just the particular temples that exist for Drenton or Anivia.
fighting temples?
Have you heard of
Have you heard of?
the dealer or the odd company?
No, I've never heard of either of those groups.
Does it look like he's lying?
Insight check.
I have +9.
+9!
Wait.
There's no way.
He does.
He does look like he's lying.
You do have a +9.
Nice.
I rolled something for you. I rolled a natural 20 for you. And so, but either way, for both of you, the variance in range does not matter. He seems completely genuine and doesn't seem to be hiding or trying to hide anything from you all.
Have you seen anyone that
Finish this up.
are there the people that are Drenton followers? Do they happen to associate themselves with blue and white robes at all?
No, they're...
Or have you seen or heard of anyone that associates themselves with blue and white robes and the cold? Snowflake. Blue crystals?
I mean, the iconography seems very similar to that of Anivia, but simply white cloak would be their garb. And she's also associated with winter. Yeah, Drunton, rather polar opposites of that, where
What?
black colors and hot red lava.
So hot.
Do we know about Anivia?
Yeah, she's the one who brought me back from the dead.
Oh.
Well, that I had a vision about when I died, and I wear her ring.
Oh.
Wow.
Also, did you see her?
I think so. Yeah. In my
What's she called?
acid trip. Couldn't really tell.
She was blue skinned.
She's behind a magic curtain.
Oh, so you didn't see her. You
Blue
heard
is
her?
cold.
I saw like a loose outline of her. Kind of. It was not super clear.
Hi. Thank you.
If you are looking to read or learn up on any of these, as you mentioned, some form of study, if it's more fighting and whatnot, I would rather urge you to not try to fight anyone within our city. It tends to just become an excuse for a lot of tension to be relieved through fighting, and we're really pushing against that here. However, families keep their own histories and records, and the temples keep their own religious histories and records. So get in with them, and I'm sure they're willing to share, as you all are around them, what they're willing to share about their histories.
Can I ask you a question?
I believe that's why I'm back here.
All right.
I mean, I'm so sorry. Yes, you may. New visitor of Dustforge.
As someone who has lived here, being you,
Yes.
do you get the sense that there is actually harmony and equally shared power? Because when I hear that, in the past, I have seen that anytime someone says there's equally shared power amongst two or more people, groups of people, that's not ever actually true. And someone has more power than everyone else, but decides to remain peaceful.
Social commentary in my Dungeons and Dragons.
The way that it plays out, and you can see him get a little uncomfortable trying to talk through this, is that each family is equally powerful in governing their own family, but not much happens where everyone needs to come to one consensus for the sake of Dustforge. They recognize each other as equal entities and have committed to a truce within this space to not fight for territory or to not fight for influence within the city. Equal? No. The historical families that rule the city have way more influence with the citizens of the city than either the cloth or the chain or even the hand, for that matter.
What's the hand?
Oh, the hand is the general, not affiliated with a religion, not affiliated with a family. They exist to just represent the non-historically powerful people throughout Dustforge.
And you? Where do you fall?
I do fall within the hand, I suppose. That also assumes that I participate or care about any of this, and I just do my duty for the city as an arbiter, and I'm happy to guide new people, which does not happen often, but make sure that people at least commit to the peace and the truce that we should see in the streets.
And that's what an arbiter does, everyone.
Are we still sitting still?
Yes, the cart is not moving.
Why?
Because I had questions.
Julie's gonna say, if you were in a secret lab with illegal experimentation on our friend, where would you be?
Oh my
Kidding. No,
god.
she doesn't say it. She says, so our job here is to protect Treya. Every city has areas where kind of like the riffraff of the city, the criminal element, congregate. Is there somewhere like that in Dustforge? Just we like to keep our ear to the ground just to see if there's any potential threats. Is there an area like that?
Any underground fighting rings like
For
we
example.
participated in?
If there was a place where people would pay you off to not disclose where they were, where would that be?
Where would that be?
The first place that comes to mind is the Dust Glass Mines. Where there is our presence as arbiters and miners is pretty safe and protected. However, the expanse of those mines and tunnels and caves go on for days and days and days. Well, one could be traveling through there, discovering places we, the city, and the families of this civilization have never been. That is quite attractive to the type of people that you were describing. In addition to that, anywhere that the torchlight does not reach.
Okay. Like, where is that? Like the edges of the city?
Where there are taller buildings and their shadows are cast permanently, deep into some of the alleyways where the buildings are close, anywhere where you can see that. And I would remind you and repeat this again, anyone whose eyes have been surrounded by darker veins that have not been satiated, I would avoid.
You said no fighting, but if we get attacked, we can defend ourselves, right?
It would be investigated.
Okay, cool.
You would be investigating.
By who? You say that each of the families is in charge of their family, but is there a governing body in this place? Like who's punishing who? How's this happening?
So
Who's investigating?
in the case that there's some form of disagreement or conflict,
Totally hypothetical.
information would be gathered, arbiters would convene and interview and discover, as well as take information in on who is hurt and who did the hurting, and then if there was a clear person who has instigated this violence, well, that person would be apprehended. But then also if there's some decision that needs to be made or clarity that needs to be brought, there is a panel of leading representatives across the families and the temples and the hand that would be able to weigh in on these measures. They are tiered up within a couple different levels, where if it is a small matter like you step into a shop and steal something, please, God's forbid, you do not step into a shop and steal something.
Okay.
That would be taken care of at one of the lower levels. But should somebody be murdered or fed upon, that sounds better.
That means celebrated.
Those would be raised up.
So who do you work for?
I work for the arbitration, the collection of those who uphold simply remaining peace and gathering information within the city.
So it's pretty arbitrary.
I wouldn't say that.
Got it.
I feel like at this point, Dylan would probably look in the door and be like, everything alright in here?
I thought you were in the car, but
No, I'm outside still.
I thought we were all inside of the car.
yeah.
Whenever you walked around, did we all
Within the city, I figured everyone kind of got inside.
Because we don't know where we're going.
Yeah.
I didn't know there was enough room.
This all can easily be taken care of on the trip. I just wanted to make sure that we could speak in private with those matters that were more sensitive.
Yes.
Yeah, let's get this freaking horses moving.
Dylan runs up front, jumps on one of the horses.
Fly!
And you were then brought to the West Cove Castle.
West.
Misery, the most gothic thing you could ever imagine in your entire life.
You immediately write a song.
And as you get up to the exterior gate to this building, it probably 6-7 stories tall, and even rounding the corner to see it, you cannot see the end of it. There's 4 or 5 torches along this roadway that goes to it on that end, and then you get to the front gate where there are a couple drow, which are these. My gosh.
You good? Oh my.
Oh no! The drow got him!
Been talking for like 4 hours.
Yeah.
Oh man.
A couple drow, which are these like deep elves, under elves. They have the same like dark grayish, like skin tone of the Durgar and the smoldering reddish eyes too. There's about 4 of them at this front gate. And Shen, who's up front, just speaks out to them and says, I was tasked by the front gate to bring these visitors. I'm sure you are expecting them. It is Treya Lalarian and company. And then one of the
odd company.
Even company.
one of the drow then says that they've been cleared and are expected, and Shen says yes. And so the drow then enters into protocol, and Shen hands forward a scroll, and the drow then unrolls it and says, all right, first up would be Treya Lalarian. And then Treya just kind of steps forward, and the drow goes, Treya Lalarian, you are welcomed here. And then one of the drow ushers her into the front gate, and then this drow goes through every single name for everyone who's here. Singe, you are welcome here. And then Singe stands up and walks in through the front gate. Turk, you are welcome here. And walks into the front gate. And then Pilgrim, you are welcome here. Stands up and walks through the front gate. Lorelith, you are welcome here. Strokoff at your side, walks through the front gate.
Gosh, I'm
Is
so
he
nervous.
welcome?
He walks through.
Dog.
Thelen, you are welcome here.
Why am I not?
Oh, okay.
Great. Gwendolyn, you are welcome here. Gwendolyn walks in. Tuli, you are welcome here.
Great pronunciation. And she does this, and then she also does the sign of a Pori.
Misery, you are welcome here.
Nope.
Say,
And so then an escort of 4 drow then leads you through this front cemented and kind of cut straight pathway that leads up to these 2 massive scarlet red doors, and you can see stained glass windows up 6 or 7 tiers up above, each of them depicting what seems like a person in black and red armors with like blue and green and yellow surrounding backdrop and all of the different stained glass, and green light coming from within the castle that then beams those down into what is just ornate stone and statue work in the front. There's no greenery, there's no plants, there's no gardens like your estate that you grew up in. Everything that's around this home is all just chiseled out of stone and illuminated by green light. The front doors open to a larger beam of green light that comes forward to where you can see off into the distance a massive green stone chandelier, and directly underneath of it a massive green stone table that just runs through. That's about a room away. There's a receiving room, but the doors are just wide open and you can see directly through to where a woman sits with about 6 or 8 more drow standing around that table. And that's where we can end the session. Coming into the West Cove Castle.
There's some major Slytherin vibes in this place.